Porphyria's Lover by Robert Browning. The rain set early in tonight, the sullen wind was soon awake, it tore the elm tops down for spite, and did its worst to vex the lake. I listened with heart fit to break, when glided in Porphyria. Straight she shut the cold out and the storm, and kneeled and made the cheerless grate blaze up, and all the cottage warm. Which done, she rose, and from her form withdrew the dripping cloak and shawl, and laid her soiled gloves by, and tied her hat, and let the damp hair fall. And last she sat down by my side, and called me. When no voice replied, she put my arm about her waist, and made her smooth white shoulder bare, and all her yellow hair displaced, and stooping made my cheek like there, and spread o'er her yellow hair, murmuring how she loved me. She too weak, for all her heart's endeavour, to set its struggling passion free from pride and vainer ties to sever, and give herself to me forever. But passion sometimes would prevail, nor could tonight's gay feast restrain a sudden thought of one so pale for love of her, and all in vain. So she was come through wind and rain. Be sure I looked up at her eyes, happy and proud. At last I knew Porphyria worshipped me. Surprise made my heart swell, and still it grew while I debated what to do. That moment she was mine, fair, perfectly pure and good. I found a thing to do, and all her hair in one long yellow string I wound, 3 times her little throat around, and strangled her. No pain she felt, I am quite sure she felt no pain. As a shut bud that holds a bee, I warily oped her eyes. Her lids again laughed the blue eyes without a stain, and I untightened next the tress about her neck. Her cheek once more blushed bright beneath my burning kiss. I propped her head up as before, only this time my shoulder bore her head, which droops upon it still. The smiling, rosy little head, so glad it had its utmost will, that all its scorn at once is fled, and I its love am gained instead. Porphyria's love, she guessed not how her darling one wish would be heard, and thus we sit together now, and all night long we have not stirred, and yet God has not said a word. Like I said before, this goes very well with my last Duchess, because they're both about these crazed men killing their loves. Well, the Duke doesn't actually love the Duchess, but here we assume that Porphyria's lover does love Porphyria. One thing to mention about this is that Porphyria is actually a disease you can die of, so it's kind of weird the fact that she is referenced as such a nice person who sort of comes in to this cottage and warms up the place for her love, but in fact she's a disease. It was originally called Madhouse Cells, and we can conduct a few points from this, although it's not actually stated here. But Madhouse Cells, I suppose, it just indicates more the craziness of this guy. Porphyria's Lover seems like quite a nice poem until you really delve into even the title, Porphyria. If you delve into that, you see it's not what you would expect. It's a dramatic monologue like My Last Duchess, and here it says, as I told you should read this, it's very good, but it says, in this monologue, Robert Browning gives the reader dramatic insight into the mind of an abnormally possessive lover. So this is evident from the fact that he repeats the word mine, and we get the idea that he can't have her. There's some sort of class barrier between them, because he lives in this sort of cottage in the middle of nowhere, and seems like he lives quite a simple life, whilst she has just come back from a where is it? Yes. Nor could tonight's gay feast restrain a sudden thought of one so pale. So this gay feast they're referring to is sort of a happy feast at her home. The vainer tides indicates that maybe she's engaged or married, perhaps, and it suggests that her family won't let her marry this guy who's in this. It's written in an iambic tetrameter in an unbalanced rhyme scheme that sort of suggests you could say that the unbalanced rhyming suggests that there's just something not quite right about this person. So if he'd named it Madhouse Cells, you'd immediately thought something's not right with this guy, but Porphyria's lover, it just gives subtle hints until in the end he strangles her. At the start of the dramatic monologue, it says the rains had early insight. So this is a pathetic fallacy. It indicates it's proleptic of what the narrator is feeling and of what is about to happen. He also says the sun and wind were soon awake, which is personification. And then when Porphyria first enters, Browning says she glided in. So she seems to be quite a magical, majestic person. She also has yellow hair. Although you would think yellow hair is maybe a little... I would say yellow hair is like blonde hair, except sort of an exaggeration of it. I imagined her to have sort of golden hair and something really magical looking. One thing which is a bit confusing is the fact that he says that she laid her soiled gloves. This could indicate that maybe she's been doing bad things. Also, something which backs up that point is the fact that she untied her hat and let her damp hair fall. And at this time, in the 1800s, it was sort of a sign of prostitution. Because people used to wear those fancy wigs, and you wouldn't have shown your natural hair. Also, is a bit proleptic of the fact that he's going to strangle her with her own hair. When he says, and all her yellow hair displays, he's focusing very much on her hair. This indicates sort of a fixation, a crazy fixation on her hair from the beginning. The repetition of mine indicates a sort of mad behaviour, and the next thing that he says is, well, before he says, well, I debated what to do. So he's debating what he should do, and then he just says, oh, I found a good thing to do, why not just strangle her? So it's sort of this egomaniac, she adores him, but yet he still does not feel happy with the situation. It's a memorable image, the wounding of the hair and then the strangling, and he seems to do it in a very gentle way. Excuse my voice, it's going all croaky after all these poems. As I was saying, her hair is a very interesting image. It seems quite beautiful at first, the way it's wounding, it's circular, and strangled her. It's just an abrupt ending. The tone doesn't change. After strangling her, the sort of light-hearted, beautiful tone he's speaking in, that the story's written in, is it seems like this crazy person, crazy guy finds it really normal. A very good point to make between Porphyria's lover and My Last Duchess is that in My Last Duchess he says, there she stands as if alive, and here he sort of describes her as if he's propping her up as a puppet. He says, I propped her head up as before, only this time my shoulder bore her head, which droops upon it still, her smiling rosy little head. So he's sort of treating her like it's a puppet. It's as if nothing just happened. And there seems to be sort of a motif developing at the end to make us think that he thinks, that he believes, or maybe that she actually did want to die for him. He says, so glad it had its utmost will. And before when he says, no pain felt she, I'm quite sure she felt no pain. As in, he thinks this is what she wanted. We never know, but because we only get an insight into his head. But that's a suggestion you can mention. The end is very interesting. He says, and yet God has not said a word. This plays on the religious side to people of the age, and he's saying this is the only indication that he realizes what he has just done. He realizes that he has just murdered this person. And this is our only indication that he realizes it, because he says, God has not said a word, so he's saying that he's got away with it. God, suggesting that there is no God, which would be a very radical view of the time. I have two explanations as to why he would have wanted to kill her. First one is that maybe from the suggestion of soiled gloves, stains, that sort of thing, and prostitution in general, it seems as maybe Browning is suggesting that Porphyria has committed adultery, so she deserves to die. My second suggestion is that by using the idea of madhouse cells and just the way he found something to do, that this man is a psychopath. And so, especially with the repetition of mine, he's an egotistical maniac, and that is why he killed Porphyria. But it's open to interpretation. Very happy for your interpretation. Please comment, and if you have anything interesting to say, please comment. Thank you.